10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. We have liftoff.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings, and today we have a very important topic for the industry, Ted.
We do, Sarah, and want to welcome back our good friend Tim Mullins, Vice President, Capital One, and Dylan Bullock. First, Tim, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here, round two. We couldn't be happier. Thank you so much.
And I know we've got a lot to chat about today. If you don't mind, introduce Dylan, and then we'll get a little of the backstory from him as well.
Yep. So I decided to bring along one of our amazing dealer partners today. That way you don't have to listen to me the entire time. Dylan Bullock is the GSN at Grapevine Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Dallas. He's a member of a group that's got 32 rooftops, and he's one of our very best partners. Dylan, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, likewise. It's a pleasure. Always love to support the people that support us.
And Dylan, you were mentioning to us in the green room, you know, you've got a lot of partners there as well at your store and at your group, but it's not every partner who can make things easy to work with. And I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit as well.
Yeah, you know, at a large store every day, there's new tools that are presented to us. Sometimes that's from a vendor that shows up, and sometimes that's from the corporate office. Sometimes we get to say yes, and sometimes we don't get to say no. So we're always trying new tools. This tool that we're talking today, ProtectID, the first time that we used the tool, how does it integrate in the process? Even if it's a great product, how does it work with our daily workflow that is oh so busy? And one of the first times that I used the tool, I actually went in to see what it was all about and realized that it was already functioning, and that there was already real usable data with actionable insights, which was incredible. I don't know that that's ever happened with a new tool that's brought in from a vendor. There's always onboarding and integrations that are required, and that wasn't the case here.
Well, Dylan, before we hear more about how this has been just an incredible tool for your dealership and your dealer group, I want to come back to Tim for a second just to set the stage, because right now, in not only in automotive, but really across all sectors of business, there's a lot more fraud on the rise. And so, Tim, I'd love to hear a little bit more from you about what you're seeing and what's going on.
That sounds great. Thank you, Sarah. And Dylan gave you a sneak preview of what we're talking to you about here today. But if you hadn't guessed already, it's all about fraud. So I think Capital One has been publicly discussing, the dramatic increase in fraud, especially synthetic identity fraud, which is really, really frustrating. Essentially, those fraudsters create fake identities to obtain loans or to get through your service department or to buy parts, that kind of thing. We've noted that fraud is on the rise. It's significantly up in the industry, and it's just contributing to a ton of loss. At Capital One, we've pride ourselves in data. And the last time I looked, we had hundreds of billions of credit card transactions. We've had billions of loans that we've been doing that essentially just give us a large number of data to draw from. So when it comes to fraud, we really, really pride ourselves in having a lot of data, a lot of experience, and just a really big passion to help dealerships so that they just don't get caught in a really tough situation.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of the stories around the country, Tim, over the last several years. It seems there are more and more of them. The new product that we're about to explore here with Capital One, does AI enter into this in any way?
Yes, definitely. So the product that we've created to help these dealers, that Dylan mentioned, is called ProtectID. And essentially, Capital One uses AI-driven fraud detection to help stop those fraudsters before they move too far down the funnel. Right now, we were really good at it after you fund the loan, but we decided, hey, why don't we just pull that forward so that you can have that technology and that data behind Capital One right at the beginning of that journey, So, AI plays a huge role in this thing. We have been heads down implementing solutions that allow us to move fast. They allow us to move in a really smart, direction, to at least warn or flag that, hey, look, there may be a real big problem here, and you should swarm on it.
And from what I understand, Tim, this product has also helped reduce fraud significantly in the last couple of years for Capital One. If you could tell us a little bit more about that, if you don't mind.
Sure. So, the design around this is to essentially, run the analysis on the consumer
Okay.
or the fraudster in less than a second, right? As quickly as we can. And it's designed through sort of a risk assessment framework we've created to help dealers determine whether there is a problem here. I think Dylan can tell us a little bit about it, but like the result of that is we have reduced fraud 66% since 2022. And if you read any article, you're going to notice that fraud has been increasing 7x, 8x, 9x since 2022. And we've been able to decrease it by 66%. So we're really proud of this thing and really excited that it's sort of sweeping the nation and dealers are utilizing it a lot.
So Dylan, let's take it from there. How do you enter the story? And again, take us to it.
Yeah, I mean, building on what Tim said, there's no doubt that fraud has risen in the last 4 or 5 years. We see it daily, if not at the store level, at the group level. The communication that we have, and even outside of my store and outside of my group, just other friends and colleagues in the industry. We talk about it. We try to be transparent because that's how we stay ahead of it, right? Information is key there. And as Tim said, I don't want a lagging indicator on fraud. I want a leading indicator on fraud because if it's after the deal is funded, there's big issues there, right? And there's the losses that they're growing, right? They're growing every single year. Since we turned on the tool, I'll tell you, we average 6 deals a month that are flagged by their tool. And so you think about that number, you say 6, that's somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 of exposure a month that we get to look at and say, hey, we now have really intelligent information, real time, that helps us make a decision there on, is this fraud? But again, that indicator didn't exist prior. It was a lot of intuition, and now I have data that supports that decision-making process, and it's a big deal. It's a really big deal.
I want to come back to a comment that Dylan made earlier about Protected, Tim, and this was the conversation around ease of use. So dealers always have a lot going on when they're looking at, creating a car deal for a customer, and the customer is sensitive to the amount of time that they're spending at the dealership. And so there's this balance between, going through the process of financing a vehicle, but then also, having that information to make an informed decision, especially since fraud is on the rise. What are some of the pieces that enable Capital One to provide, an easy experience for Dylan?
Yeah. Well, I think, Sarah, it starts, as we mentioned, it starts with the data. So look, there's a lot of great fraud protection companies out there. No doubt, right? I have a lot of respect for a lot of our competitors. No one can beat the data that we've got. We're just at such a scale that essentially giving Dylan and dealerships like Dylan the ability to have access to our database and the things we've learned over the last 20 to 25 years, it really starts with that. And then I think second, doing it in a very fast way that is as up funnel as you can get. Essentially, the consumer may even be in the dealership or not even there quite yet. They haven't even made it, and we've already triggered something. I think timeliness is incredibly important. AI is the third component, so that allows us to really understand patterns of fraudsters. We learn from fraudsters. We learn from networks of fraudsters, and we essentially feed that into the AI model that sort of learns and gets smarter and smarter as we go. So like those 3 components, I think are the best. I think the final thing that I hear, and I think Dylan's already mentioned, is we just tried to make it easy to use. We didn't want a complicated web of decisioning that dealers had to make in order to feel confident about whether this is a fraud deal or not. We just want to give you the likelihood of that thing. We want to make sure you have it fast. And then that gives the dealership, the ability to make a decision and decide, hey, look, maybe this isn't the customer that I want to go with. And like Dylan said, 6 of those a month, that can rack up pretty quickly. I talk to dealers all the time, and they have horror stories about, a Hellcat got past me, or a Corvette got past me, and I couldn't find it. And it was so bad. I didn't even want to go to my insurance company because the premium increase would have been so bad. It would have been on top of that. So they just have to eat it. And it's, Sarah, it's personal. Like it's business, and it hurts financially, but it's personal. Like, we don't like when fraudsters get past people, and we want to arm those dealers with the ability to catch this quickly. Dylan, I think you have a story of a friend of yours and another dealer that you wanted to tell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was sharing actually about this tool this last week with a colleague of mine that runs a BMW store here in Texas, and he said, "Man, I actually had a deal this last week. It was a $120,000 BMW that I was going to send up north, and this tool is actually what tipped off the fraud." And then, as an operator of a store, he started to ask more questions once he saw this, and ultimately they did realize that, this is a fraud deal, but that's $120,000 straight write-off that's going to go straight to the bottom line. For a small to medium-sized store, that just destroys everything that you've done in a month. And not to mention, it's bad for your relationships with your lenders. So again, I hear stories. I'm sharing with people that I know, outside of even our organization, because I want them to know this tool's out there. And it's the only, we get a lot of tools, like I said, a lot of tools that we can use in our business today. They're wonderful. And Tim, you mentioned it a moment ago. Again, easy to find, easy to use. That's really important with the tools, and that it's integrated into the tools that we're already using is really the key there. You don't have to download something new. You don't have to install anything special. It's integrated into the systems and softwares we use every day in decision and deal making. So,
Dylan, I would imagine also for this fraud is probably the dirty little secret in this and many other businesses, because a lot of dealers are not going to want to admit that. Okay. But maybe at a 20 group privately, someone will, come over and tell the story of what just happened, but it's very, very prevalent. And I can't imagine, you mentioned 6 deals, having to go through after the fact and potentially unwind deals or all the things that need to be done, if they don't get away with it.
Yeah, there's so many things and actions that we would like to avoid right after the fact in the event fraud was discovered. The fact that we have this available to us, and again, building on what Tim said earlier, as high a funnel as possible. Many times when we use the tool, we've discovered fraud before a customer's ever even arrived at the dealership. And so we have a tremendous amount of time and opportunity to make informed decisions at that point. It's key. It's key.
Tim, Dylan mentioned ease of use, and he mentioned turning it on without divulging too much or giving too much away. How does a dealer go about that, and how do they go about acquiring this and taking it to the next level?
Yeah. Well, I'll say a couple things. I'm really excited for your audience to see this, and I realize there are departments in your network that aren't in finance, and that's why we came to you. So number one, if you're in the service department, if you're in the fixed ops world, the parts department, we wanted to arm you all with some knowledge about what fraud is up to, and provide you with an option, hopefully with a partner that you're already doing business with, which is Capital One. So to start answering your question, the reason we're here is because we realize that the fixed ops world of the dealership is an incredibly powerful department, and everyone needs to be on the alert for fraud, right? And so that's kind of why we're here. But if you're interested, I think you definitely we would like to encourage you to call your representative, your Capital One representative. We have people standing by that will be ready to answer any of your questions. In addition, we'll provide a call to action here, so that if you want to learn more about it, you can click on that and learn all about the tool called ProtectID. So we're really excited to share this with your audience.
And Sarah, in terms of how this gets by the dealer and get through the dealership, it's not just that flashy Corvette. I'm thinking, Sarah, of the wholesale parts operation where hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars can go through a dealership in any one month. And a dealer can be subjected to fraud, and many are. And this would really help in a big way.
Ted, you're so right, and we've had many conversations at the Fixed Ops Roundtable about how this is becoming more and more prevalent, and dealerships are feeling that pinch. As we head into more e-commerce type of transactions and shipping things off, and also purchasing vehicles online ahead of time before they show up at a showroom. So this is it's an incredible opportunity for dealers to really have something that helps them protect their investments.
What were the numbers on e-commerce? I think in the next 5 years, it was in the billions of dollars that's being done, transacted online.
Yep.
Yes, 1.6 billion, I believe, was the number, Ted. So that's an incredible amount of revenue for automotive, and an incredible amount of revenue for dealerships to participate in.
Yeah, and that size of revenue, it's just too attractive for fraudsters, right? And so they're going after big business, and that is becoming a huge business. And so that's why we're here. We want to kind of head that off before it gets too bad, right?
Dylan, how long have you been on the Protected platform?
We've used the tool for about 6 months now. Okay. And so, in total, I said we have about 6 a month. We have a total of 51 fraudsters that have been identified in that 6-month period.
That's a tremendous amount of, just like Tim said, preventing 66%, having that kind of reduction in what's going on. That's a big bottom line.
It's a scary number.
And Tim, just to kind of summarize, to give the dealer the opportunity to make those informed decisions, no matter where in the dealership they are, but to tip them off, if you will, at that point in the funnel early, that's invaluable.
Yes. And it's interesting. We actually have functionality that will allow the dealer to investigate a customer, even if we don't trigger it, right? Because the dealer's the expert here. So this tool enables that type of functionality. And I think that for the service department, the parts department, when dealers are smart. We've been around for a long time. When you smell something wrong, this tool can honestly proactively look at it, even if Capital One doesn't trigger something. So I think it's going to be a really well-rounded tool that that helps prevent that fraud.
All right. So minimize and help close deals no matter where you are in the dealership, in the front or in the back, with confidence with Capital One. And Tim, again, best way for our audience, reach out to their representative at Capital One or follow the call to action that we're going to provide as well.
That's right.
All right. Sarah, great news. And again, big news out of Capital One, leading the industry once again. And so honored to have Tim and Dylan with us today.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody, Capital One, Protected. You can learn more information online. Follow the link and follow the information at the bottom of your screen. Tim Mullins from Capital One, Dylan Bullock here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.